Tuesday, it's Tuesday, it's Tuesday. It's our favorite day. It's
Hey,
our favorite day. It's
hey,
our favorite day. It's
hey,
our favorite day. It's
hey.
Tuesday, it's Tuesday, it's Tuesday, it's Tuesday. It's our favorite day, guys.
Hey.
Oh my gosh, it's an amazing Tuesday here at the Connected Corner. And I am your host, your co host, not your favorite, because I've been hearing buzzing on the street that Kiana B is your favorite, but I'm on number two, so it's all good with me. I'm your girl, Tori Rose, the Connector, and I have the honor of being on this amazing Tuesday platform with who?
Kiana B.
Hey,
Hey. Be
girl.
kind, y'all. Be kind.
Be kind, be nice, be your best self.
Right. Be
I love
positive. Lord,
when people
Lord,
come
we
to
need
me and they say, "Oh, I checked out the show. I love checking Kiana out." I'm like, you know what? Me too. I actually had someone say that. I was like, me too. Like, dude, I only show up for her.
Oh my goodness. Well,
And
I
so for
appreciate
everyone who is watching, who is checking in for Kiana and maybe even checking in for me, nonetheless, we want you guys to check in for these resources because here at the Connected Corner, where you can get news and resources you can actually use, our focus is making sure that you walk away with something, a word, a statement of encouragement, a resource, something tangible that you can actually use in your everyday life. So,
Yes.
Key, how is your everyday life? You good, girl?
My everyday life is going really good.
Good.
Things are wonderful. It is still summertime.
You know,
And we have some wonderful things planned. I cannot wait. My summer is kind of just getting started, but
yes.
I'm excited about it. And so, I'm happy about that. And just happy about what we have, going on at the Connected Corner. We want to make sure that we thank our media partners because they are a great support to us. First and foremost, we want to thank Radio on Fire, Mr. Diamond K, for his continued support and media support and help and just checking in, making sure we're good. And so we really appreciate that. Nicotine Media. I saw that that our girl Meech from Nicotine Media is actually going to be making an appearance in Atlanta, and so go over to their social media is Radio on Fire and Nicotine Media. Make sure that you guys are following them and see what they're going on because especially those two platforms, they're back and forth between Baltimore and Atlanta. And so if you're Atlanta family or, from down south and you're not that far from the ATL, take a drive up and see what Radio on Fire and Nicotine are doing. And then we also want to thank WMEG Radio. So thank you to our media partners for your support.
Yes. And I got to give a shout out to Diamond K. I mean, he's been in this music game for like 20 plus more years. And he has a new, I want to say mixtape. He's going to say that is so 1997, but he has a new single and he has a new album, a new masterpiece. Let's call it that. And it's really about like his whole life. And it is Bernice Avenue, because, he's from Baltimore. So big up Baltimore, our home. We love it. We love him. Check it out. You can download it on all the streaming apps. And if you don't know where to find it, as Kiana told you, go to Radio on Fire or DJ Diamond K's Instagram, Facebook, and download it. And if it's $1, pay $1. You are going to jam. It is in my rotation in the mornings. And so we have amazing guests today, I heard, and I'm excited. Without further ado, you want to introduce them?
Yeah, so without further ado, we want to bring forth our amazing guests today. I mean, you guys get ready because you're going to get a delight, information, entertainment, all of that on today's show. And so we have an amazing playwright, producer, writer, Corey J. Johnson, and Mr. Gerald Haskins. Yeah. So welcome, guys, to the Connected Corner. We are happy to have you. Thank you for being here with us. And so we want to jump right in. We know you have some amazing news and just some great accomplishments to share, with our guests and with our viewers. But we want to start with, hey, tell us a little about yourself. Tell our viewers who you are. So we're going to kick it off. We're going to start with Corey. Tell us who you are and tell our audience a little bit about who you are for those who don't know you, because we know there's some folk on here that definitely know you. But for those who don't know who you are, let them know who you are, brother.
Okay. So thank you for having me on the show. It's my honor and privilege to be here. My name is Corey J. Johnson. I'm from Baltimore, Maryland. I'm here basically to promote my new project. It's a play called Wonderful Is Your Name. I'm a published author of 4 books. You may have heard of my book Courageous, about a notorious guy from Baltimore named Flubber. Back in the days, he was a notorious gangster turned drug addict, and it's a story of redemption. He turned his life around. So we've been promoting that for the last couple of years, but now we got a new project. It's a play. It's like a gospel musical. So we're going to be showcasing it for the first time in a festival called the Pacific Northwest Multiple Cultural Reader Series, which is actually coming out of Portland, Oregon. So we're trying to broaden ourselves with our audience base and get in front of some more people and, see what happens. Just have a little fun and spread a little word about the gospel and, put our interesting story out there.
Awesome.
Wow, that's a lot. And Mr. Haskins, excuse me, I was looking at your name. We're related to half the city. I'm like, is he related to us, the Haskins? We got some Haskinses up in the place. So tell us a little bit about yourself and how did you get involved in this amazing project?
Okay, hi, my name is Gerald Haskins from Baltimore, Maryland. I've been working with Brother Corey J. Johnson for a few years now. Started working together on the Courageous project, taking that to many different theaters and places, and we just kind of hooked up, and we actually started as co-workers and kind of hooked up and started working together, and it's been a beautiful partnership all along the way. But specifically for this project, it spoke to my heart. I'm the co-pastor of High Sinai Church of Christ in Baltimore, Maryland on 300 South Broadway. So it was beautiful to work and work along with this story. It has a wonderful meaning, and I'm really excited to be a part because it has a little bit of something for everybody, especially those of us that's been in church, those of us that are in church. We can all garner something from this. I'm excited.
Wonderful. I mean, that's amazing. And it's so interesting because anybody knows Kiana and I, we don't link and connect to just anybody, right? And we are extremely centered in the things of God. Doesn't mean that we're going to walk around and throw holy oil on you. I mean, I might.
There you go.
I was going to say, I definitely have thrown some around a job or office or two.
or four.
Before we go in this meeting.
Right. Before we go in this meeting, everybody can slide on in, literally. But I just think it's amazing. You think about Wonderful Is His Name. The first thing that comes to my mind is the Hezekiah Walker song. And so I'm going to toss it to you, Corey, and tell me how, of all people you could have gotten connected to for any project, how did you really connect to Mr. Gerald Haskins? Like, okay, he was your coworker, but what was it about him that you felt a connection to?
Well, Gerald is he's a wonderful cinematographer. I'm also a screenplay writer. I direct films, and we work together professionally in our professional careers. But once I found out that he was into photography and filmmaking, then that was like, it was a no-brainer that we had to hook up one day because I was writing these scripts and I wanted to turn, my scripts into a film project. And we already had a personal relationship from work. And once I saw, what he could do behind the camera, it was a no-brainer. We basically been partners from day one. From the first project we worked on together, we've been working on every project ever since together. So he's like my partner. He's my go-to guy. He's going to always be honest with me. When I write something, he's one of the first people I send it to. He usually can see my vision before I even start explaining it to him. And then we always bounce ideas off each other. He's a good guy. He's easy to work with. He's a professional, and he's good at what he does.
Awesome. So, guys, as you heard, relationship, and integrity is everything. So if you're not connected to these guys while you're watching the show, make sure you go to Instagram and click follow on their pages. If you're not connected to the Connected Corner, make sure that you subscribe to our channel at youtube.com. Go to the search icon, type in the Connected Corner, and go ahead and hit that button. Hit subscribe and also hit the bell so you are alerted and notified when we go live, and you don't want to miss these amazing jewels.
Yes, thank you guys so much. We truly appreciate that. Thank you, Tori, for making that, connection about what is happening. So I would say this, with all the projects and things that you have talked about that you guys have going on, and we know that we have gone through such, I don't even say tumultuous time. I mean, because for some people, honestly, going through what recently was, the pandemic, and it looks like we're still kind of in it, right? It hasn't completely subsided, but with all of that has happened and what has been going on, what has been the greatest professional challenge that you've had to overcome, especially, with the pandemic, since it has occurred, and what did you learn, especially for what you guys do? It's public related, right? And so if you're doing production, if you're doing things, Gerald, being a pastor, you have church, so all of what you guys have been doing professionally has been affected specifically by the pandemic. But what were the biggest challenge, and then what did you learn from it? And, we'll start with Corey.
Well, for me, it was, not being able to get out there and film and work in public. We were on a big run with Courageous. The first place that we actually performed Courageous from the book, we turned into a one person monologue play. The first place that we performed was at Center Stage in Baltimore, and we brought out maybe 250, 300 people, something like that. That was our very first performance, and then after that, we went on a tour of Baltimore. We went to Arena Playhouse. We went to different churches. Different people would invite us out to come and do a performance. And it was always easy to find an audience. But obviously, once the pandemic hit, we had to switch gears. Luckily, we had filmed a live performance of Courageous. So what we did was, we stuck in the house anyway. So we packaged it as like a documentary film. We took footage from the performance. We used background footage, rehearsal footage, interview footage, and things like that to try to turn it into like a performance / documentary piece. And then I submitted it to a bunch of different festivals. And the goal was to just get it out there in front of as many people as I could, so that we could build the audience, and hopefully somebody will, see it and have some interest in it. Maybe a big production company, somebody may give us a call and say, hey, we want to, turn your play performance and your book into a TV series. That's really the goal. So it was just difficult, not being able to get in front of people. We had to pretty much sit in the house and just submit it to festivals and just see what happens from there. But of course, I was still writing. So, it gave me time to sit down in front of the computer and just get some of these stories out.
Mm-hmm. That's huge. That's huge. And so, Mr. Haskins, what can I call you? Can I call you Gerald? I now feel like I need to call you Pastor. It's putting a lot of pressure on me.
Just call me Gerald.
All right, call you Gerald. So, Gerald, as a pastor, we know that you've had to learn how to pivot, right? Just pivot. So, as Corey was saying, you guys pivoted in that season. But tell us a little bit about your personal experience. So now you have the faith hat, right? I'm sure you're also praying about the production, and you also have to pivot, and you have these responsibilities. How did it affect you being a part of this team, and how did you overcome it?
It affected me. The number one word you used was pivot, and the next word I can think about is flexibility. We really had to learn how to be flexible, to be available, to be on Zoom calls and be doing different video conferences. And that was the biggest part, not being in person. We shifted from having meetings in person, production meetings in person, even myself personally having church in person, to all of that being virtual. So it was a lot to learn, a lot to take in. And my biggest takeaway was just learning how to, I don't want to go too far in the Bible, but it says, where two or three are gathered together in my name, there will I be also. I had to learn how to appreciate the 2 or 3 and pour into them the same way I would pour into 200 or 300. And the same way as with this, it seemed like we're now in a lot smaller groups, we're not in bigger settings. So the intimacy of those conversations really became really important to me, and being able to get authenticity out of people and talk to them, and sort of like this, these small settings bring the best out.
Most certainly. Mostly, Kiana and I literally talked about Jesus and his walk earlier, and we were talking about how many people only want to do it for the gram. They only want to do it for the multitude. But will you do it just for the 12? Even if that means knowing that it might be 2,000 years before the multitude gets to see your play, gets to understand the work and the time that you all put into this awesome production. And so thank you for sharing with us how you overcame and dealt with even the pandemic and some of the current challenges that you're still going to experience. So for anybody who's already subscribed to our channel, thank you. If you're just tuning in, make sure you are clicking the connected corner and subscribe on YouTube. Also follow us on Instagram and Facebook. It is important for us to stay connected because, as Pastor G said, he gonna be done with me by the end of the show. It is so important for that core nucleus of people. There's going to be some people who are going to come onto every show and going to get this good meat, and it's going to fill their bellies. And it's going to be somebody who just hears this show. Well, if that is you, good. We want you to stay connected because there's some gems and jewels here. So, Kiana, let me ask you something. And I know this is something that we've talked about. What do you do when you feel burnt out? Because there's a lot of things that are being said in this interview that have been so similar to what we've talked about today. What do you do when you feel burnt out or unmotivated?
Well, for me, when I'm feeling burnt out and unmotivated, I do a pulse check to see if I missed any of my days of meditation. And prayer, honestly, I understand for me that I have to, constantly feed myself positivity, making sure that, I'm praying and meditating each and every day, because that will literally lead to me being, burnt out. But natural, just in physical, because we do a lot, right? Working, business, podcasts, mom, even though I have an empty nest, but still getting called on, for mentorship and counseling of my young adults. And so with that, I really like to just take a moment. I do, some power naps. I like to do kind of like the meditation music and take a minute. I have breathing exercises, and honestly, if need be, if my body say you're done, like shut it all down, shut it all off, I definitely will do that and be like, I'll get back at y'all, in a day or two, but right. I need a moment to disconnect. And so I think we all, should be okay with that and give ourselves grace to do that.
I love that. And I'm here with you, sister. I will disconnect real quick. Anybody knows me. I've come off of social media. Don't call me. Don't come looking for me. Give me 6 months. I need a moment. Corey, how about you? What do you do? This is a lot. It is hard to be sometimes the visionary, right? There's Moses and there's Aaron. There's Aaron and there's Moses. How do you deal with this whole burnout and feeling unmotivated or overwhelmed at times, if you ever feel that way?
Well, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm a Marine, so I'm sort of used to finding time alone and being able to adapt to unfamiliar situations like that. But I will also be honest and tell you that as a human being, as a Black man, and as a human being, I sometimes suffer from anxiety. So being in this pandemic for the last year, it kind of heightened my anxiety to a degree. I don't have a problem with being inside, but sometimes, your mind kind of, as the ghetto boys say, play tricks on you. So I have to find things to keep myself occupied. As a writer, I can't force my writing. My best work comes when when my mind is stimulated. I have to be inspired or motivated about something. So unfortunately, last year, we had a lot of unfortunate things happen, death in the family, losing loved ones, and things like that. So I had to try to find a way to find some sort of inspiration or something in the different things I was going through emotionally last year during the pandemic to cause me to dig deep into myself and come up with some stories that I thought would be interesting for people to hear. So writing was kind of, a safe place for me to go to and create these stories that I thought, people would want to hear.
Great point. Great point. And for Gerald, same question, but I want you to tie it into the play. Tell us what you do when you feel burnt out, when you feel unmotivated, and will Wonderful Is His Name be a stress reliever for those watching and those getting tapped in?
Most definitely, it'll be a stress reliever. I love the play for how it's written, the way that the story meshes in with what we're dealing with in everyday life. One of the things that I do to help myself feel burnt out is just take time for myself, meditation, prayer. Most of those things are mentioned in the play and some of the things that they talked about, but just taking my time for myself. That's something that I really learned during this time is, I'm important also. A lot of times you're so pulled on in every different direction that I have to take time to say, I got to make sure I'm good. So it's really been taking
Say
time.
It louder for the people in the back. And drop your offering, your Cash App, because we need to on that one. It is so important. And so we oftentimes will go between English and Spanish in this household. So I often say, it's más importante. It's más importante. And my son is looking at me like I'm crazy. But it is so important to be able to pour from a filled cup. We, especially as Corey said, as Black and brown people, or Black men, Black women, we think that as soon as our cup is at 25%, we got something to pour out, and we don't. And we get a little bit of energy, and then we pouring back out, and we're wondering why we're so depleted, why we're angry, why we're having health issues and things like that. I tell you that Wonderful Is Your Name is so important to me, because that song, specifically the song, got me through some dark times, when there was nothing in my life that I could see was filled with wonder. I understood there was a name that had wonder in it. His name was filled with wonder. And if I could focus on that, I could find some hope for myself. So I'm going to toss it to Corey. Is this play, this production, not just for you to get out the things you need to get out, but the average person? Can I watch it and find hope? Can I find happiness and joy in this production?
Well, I mean, that's the goal. If people on the podcast have been following me as far as my books and my other projects, that I don't typically write simplistic stories. I always try to, find some way to put a twist or, put a spin on a story and turn it around. So you've been mentioning the title, Wonderful Is Your Name, and it does come from Hezekiah Walker, Family Affair album. He's one of my favorite gospel artists. And throughout the play, every act has a Hezekiah Walker song from that particular album that either starts the scene or the act or closes the act out.
That is brilliant. That is brilliant. I'm getting excited.
So we may have to sit down with Hezekiah one day before we bring it to Broadway and see if we can work something out. But the story itself, just to give you a little insight, I put a twist on the Romeo and Juliet story. The Montagues and the Capulets, they had a beef and the families didn't get along. But of course, Romeo from one family and Juliet from the other family fell in love with each other. It was condoned from, both families. So I brought it to modern day times, and instead of the Capulets and the Montagues, I used two churches. So you have a modern day church with a young bishop who likes to do things, a certain way. And then you have the old school Southern down South, bishop who likes to do things the old school way. One church wears red, one church wears blue. So I try to tie it in with what's going on with the young people out in the streets and how they, taking each other out. And the two main characters, instead of Romeo and Juliet, is Romello and Julietta. And they fall in love with each other, and they basically don't really condone how the churches are acting. And I just think it's a poignant, piece that relates to what's going on today. And, me growing up in church, I mean, I didn't see things to the degree of the play where, something dramatic happens. But we all know a lot of churches who, their leaders use the pulpit to speak about things that aren't Christian-like. So this play kind of sheds light or makes you, look in the mirror and ask yourself, are you really living the way God, wanted us to live as Christians? And of course, like I said, using the story of Romeo and Juliet, something dramatic has to happen in order for them to kind of step back and say, hey, wait, maybe we doing this the wrong way, So I don't want to give away too much, but that's the premise of the story and how I came up with the idea.
Wow. First, we have some wonderful treats for y'all today. Viewers, listeners, are you here with us? Make sure that you are commenting. Let us know where you're listening from. Let us know what state, where you are geographically, if you're with us on YouTube or Facebook, because we got some treats. First, we're going to start with the SAT word that my brother said, poignant. Okay, I was like, okay, SAT word. All right, so our brother's going to demonstrate how smart they are here on the Connected Corner tonight. But we have an extra special treat for you guys tonight on the Connected Corner, because we not only have 2, but we have 3 brothers, and I'm going to bring on our next brother, who is a part of the cast of Wonderful Is Your Name, Mr. Curtis McNeil. Okay, welcome to the Connected Corner. Don't get shot. Look, wait a minute. What's happening? So, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. Unmute yourself. We want to hear you.
Hey, what's up? How you gonna give me that thing like I'm coming through the tunnel right now? Like you have me pumped up. It's the first quarter, but I'm ready to play like it's the fourth. Like,
you got coming like Ray Lewis. Like Ray Lewis.
Yeah, what's up, bro? I can't do the dance no more, Corey. My knees bad, brother. Hey, but man, what's up? How y'all doing? Thank you for having me. I'm sorry that I'm kind of running slightly behind. I'm here with a powerful cast and crew from a film called Threshold, and we shooting, and they got me playing this old man, a superhero for the first time. I ain't gotta be the villain. I'm loving it. I was getting done up when I finally got the ability to kind of tap in, because I'm in DC and it's so much, it's so many things operating at one time that the connection is kind of restricted to one spot.
Well, we appreciate you joining us. And so it sounds like, just tell our audience a little bit. So just from what you're saying, you're, part of this production, but you're currently, in the midst of recording and filming another production. But tell,
Yes.
Our audience who we're, in the DMV, we're from, Baltimore, we're local, but, we broadcast all over. And so let them know a little bit about who you are and what you're doing. I mean, we could get from, what you got moving and shaking. You obviously are an actor that's sought after. So tell us a little bit more about Mr. Curtis McNeil. And I'm making him blush. I love it.
Gary got me great, get purple in the face. Ain't nothing wrong being purple though. No, my name Curtis McNeil. I'm like Gerald, man. I come from humble beginnings. You know what I mean? I grew up right here in Baltimore City. Well, I grew up in Baltimore City, although I'm in DC right now. I grew up in Baltimore City, born and raised there, raised in Georgia, raised a little bit in New York. And, you know what I mean? I've been a little bit everywhere, started theater like 89. Real talk, sometimes God will bring things in your life when you least expect them. Because I never in a million years saw myself doing this, you know what I mean? But I always give props and pay homage to Dr. Hugh Carey. Saw something in a young ghetto kid that was going in the wrong direction and brought me in the theater, put me on stage. And I've been blessed to have the opportunity to do the play roles. From my resume is God has really blessed me, y'all. Just a quick backstory. When I was in 11th grade, I was reading on the 4th grade reading level. You know what I mean? just being an inner city dude, just doing what I do. I wasn't thinking about no school. So God put me in the theater, and that took my reading level to great heights. And I've played roles from everything from Pearly and Pearly Victorious, or the musical Pearly, to Finch and How to Succeed in Business, to Duke Orsino and the 12th Night. I'm a member of the South Carolina Shakespeare Company. I'm a member of the Trustless Company in South Carolina. I'm a member of the Workshop Theater in South Carolina. I'm a member of Corey's company that I always forget the name of it because I just be so wrapped up in how sharp this brother is, man. Like, I'm really impressed with you, Corey. If I haven't never told you, brother, you brother, you do it every time. So, I mean,
well, I'm going to interject for 1 second. Pause. Yeah. Because
go ahead.
The first thing is, Curtis, before you guys leave, we want to make sure every person has access to your Instagram and social media. So if you have an Instagram handle, please make sure that we get that so we post it. Secondly, I think what you have spoken is so large. Each of you brings something to this puzzle that, for me, being technically an outsider, right? An outsider looking in, because even though Corey's fam and we know kind of what he has going on, you don't know what a person has for dinner unless you're at the table. This is amazing to see what God has done in each of you and through each of you. Also, as Kiana and I both have sons, and we understand the pits, the traps, the snares that are set for sons, especially Black and brown sons. And so I want to take a moment and just acknowledge each of you, because you not only heard from God, you answered the call. See, a lot of us hear it, but we look at the call ID and we turn down the phone. So thank you for stepping up, for speaking up, and for growing up and being the men that our sons, you never know how they're going to be impacted, or how the city's boys will be impacted just by your story. So kudos to you guys. And please give us your Instagram handle, because we want to make sure that our viewers and our listeners can stay connected to you. So
absolutely.
We got another couple of questions. I want to hear the next question. I want to keep it. Come on. What's the next question?
I know, and it's perfect timing. We're bringing Curtis on. And so again, like, I just ditto to what Tori has said. I'm just completely happy. This is a first for the Connected Corner. We have 3 guests, 3 strong Black men, and we are happy because that's what this platform is about, to represent, all of what we are, right? And all of what you guys are in our community. So thank you. And so with that being said, I do want to know, as I'm sure the audience and any of these, young Black Prince and Kings want to know, how and what advice would you have for someone wanting to pursue a career in your industry? And so Gerald told us about how Curtis told us a little about how he got into what he's doing, right? And so you might have some young gentleman out there, somebody saying, man, I don't even like to read, or, whatever is happening. Like, how now can I get into that? How can I, what advice would you have for them or anyone that wants to pursue what you're doing in your industry? And so we'll start with Corey and then go from there.
Oh, wow. I mean, I love the kids. I love to inspire and motivate, kids' minds, and they have so much talent and gifts. Baltimore is such a city that's full of a lot of talent. I just say, find something that inspires you. Find something that you love. Find something that you feel like is pulling you, towards it. Something that's, tugging at your heart. Something that makes you feel whole, and just chase it. Don't let nobody stop you. It's a famous line in the monologue play from Courageous, where Flubber says, stop letting people tell you what you can and cannot do. You always hear people talk about, I'm not going to say Baltimore, but certain places are like crabs in a barrel. People hate on you when they see you succeeding. We got to get out of that mentality and just stop letting people tell you what you can and can't do. If you can see it, then you can be it, and if you can be it, you can do it. Whatever you put your mind to, just go out there and do it.
That's so good. How about you, Gerald?
Oh man, that's a beautiful question. To piggyback on what Corey said, I remember listening to Courageous to play the first time, and Curtis, which is a wonderful actor, Curtis pulled it off amazingly, the role of Flubber in the Courageous play. But there's a part in the play where Flubber puts his name on the cell that he was in Baltimore City Jail. And it was also like a point of reflection of what do I want to be now and where do I want to go? And it was interesting to me because you just got to get with something and you got to do it. And certain things in life cause us to have different changes and cause us to go in different directions. But once you make that decision on that's what you want to do, my biggest piece of advice is do it and stick with it. You never know who you'll run into. God will ordain all the relationships that you need moving forward. I was out here doing film, and me and Corey had been working together years before that. And we just so happened to have a conversation one day and got us started this beautiful partnership that we're on now. So just about getting started and doing it and sticking with it.
Awesome. And you, Curtis, if any young person, guy or girl, or young politician was out here listening, and I'm going to tell you why that's relevant. You're on mute, Curtis, by the way. I ran for city council. Most people know that by now. If you don't know, now everybody knows. So I ran for city council. And in the beginning of my run, I was auditioning. I was a part of a play. Actually, I got chosen to be in this play called The Burning of Widows. And everybody said, you cannot be in this play and run for office. People are going to think that you're phony, and they're going to think that you're acting while you're campaigning, you know. And that Marcus Garvey quote that you guys just mentioned about the crabs in a barrel, I'll give you guys the whole quote later because it's pivotal. And we stop at the crabs in a barrel, but there's some relevance to the entire quote. Curtis, if anybody was listening who wanted to be an actor or actress but was afraid to do so, what advice would you give them?
Okay, I need John, Vanessa, and Lauren.
You know, please forgive us. There's a lot of things going on right now. Production managers are running through here. This is what happens when you work independently. This is a clear example as to if anybody want to get in the business, understand that sometimes you're going to have to go far and beyond the call of duty to make something happen. But if I said anything to anybody, I will say this, especially about our community. It is time for y'all young folk to stop doing what you love as a hobby and do what you love as a living. It's time to stop. Your hobbies are things that you have fun with after you have did the thing you love, which ain't a day at work. So I would say to any young actor, hey, come into this thing with an open mind, an open heart, and come ready to work. Because I put this job up against any job in the world. And I stand on this. It is hard. It is hard. You got to have a tough skin. Truth be told, you're going to get no more than you're going to get yeah. But, you know, just believe that in the midst of great tragedy, God going to always make great triumph. So you might have been told no for one role, but there's an even greater role for you later on. I tell folks all the time, if you can just understand, okay, a jewel for those that's just coming into the business.
Miami, the train is leaving.
Please try and teach yourself to acknowledge, understand, and see human behavior for what it is. It is flawed. It is perfect. It is halfway there. It's halfway behind. But see it for what it is. It is human behavior. And when you can take those different human behaviors, you'll find that in characters in any given show, there's a certain behavior quality that every character has. Even my brother CJ so beautifully penned. I remember the first time we talked about this show. And I was like, I left like, wow, that is going to be fire, considering everything that we got going on in the world today. So I tell young actors all the time, hey, just be open to the process. Understand what human behavior means And for all of your young listeners and your upstarts, I just had this conversation with a young actor yesterday. I would implore you to go and sit on your front porch if you have one, or on the front stoop if you have one, or at the park. Close your eyes and listen to everything that is going on and attempt to write down what you hear. You will find that in the midst of doing that, you will create almost a character without ever seeing them. So, I mean, I'm open. I teach. If anybody in the DMV want a acting coach,
That's powerful. I mean, we've learned that just in the evolution of us as Black women, as Black entrepreneurs. One thing that Kiana and I have worked on every single day, especially, I mean, I will say we've been committed to this every single day, 365 since 2017, has been being better today than we were yesterday. And what that requires us to do is learn how to center ourselves, right? And be accountable to who we want to become, and forgiving to the version of ourselves that we are today. And so that's huge. Like, he dropped the pen. Gerald, you dropped the marker. Corey, look, I'm so tongue-tied. Corey dropped the podium. Like, what you guys are doing, and I wholeheartedly believe this, and I'm not saying it because it's my show and I gotta fluff you out, because I don't. Check some of the other shows out. I don't fluff everybody out. I believe you guys are changing the trajectory of lives. And so I want to just take a moment and say thank you. And I know I'll speak for me and Kiana, because you are changing things with the work that you guys are doing. It's huge, huge.
So can I just say, I mean, you're right on point. That's the work that we try to do. You were talking earlier about not having a large audience all the time. My projects are usually to help somebody with a tough or difficult situation. So Courageous was about a story of redemption. If you going through drug addiction, or you're in an abusive relationship, or whatever the case may be, being able to overcome that the same way Flubber did, use his life as inspiration. And I also wrote a piece about suicide prevention. It's about a person who is going through some tough things in their life and they're contemplating suicide. And in the same one for your name, it's about, people fighting against some false beliefs, some things that they were taught that may not be necessarily true. And a couple of people believe in it so much that young folks should lose their life. What I try to do in every single one of my pieces is help somebody get out of a situation. If any one of my pieces or stories can save one person's life, then it was worthwhile to me. It's not about the money. You know what I mean? If some person comes to see Courageous or reads the book Courageous and they walk away learning something to help them overcome their drug addiction, then it was worthwhile to me. Sometimes when we perform Courageous, we may have been at a particular venue, and the first night may not have been a lot of people. The place might not have been packed. But this guy, Curtis McNeil, got up on that stage and gave you the same performance that he would give you if it was 1,000 people in the audience. That's just the type of actor he is. Because if one person came in that theater and saw his performance, it may have been that one person that needed to hear the message that night. It could have saved their life. And that's the type of stories that I write. I want the message to get out there, and hopefully the story can help change somebody's life.
And it will, because you guys have been called to a higher purpose. Listen, here at the Connected Corner, and we've been saying this the entire show, we strive to give our audience news and resources that the average person can use. The reason we wanted to create this platform was not so that everybody would know Kiana and Tori. We felt that we would be in certain environments and we would walk away and say, that was nice, but what was it really? Almost like, and no offense, Pastor G, but I've had my fair share of Black churches, and I have been in those environments where you shout, you speak in tongues, you run around in circles, and then you get in the parking lot and it was like, well, what did he preach about? What was the word? And so if you've ever been in experiences, you know the importance, especially in our community, for people to get real tangible or applicable news and resources. So I'm going to start with Curtis and work this way because just how you guys on my screen that way. Curtis, what resources have helped you personally and professionally along your way?
Oh man, before I even talk about things, I got to talk about people. Dr. Hugh Carey, Dr. Scott Blanks, Dr. Linda Kershaw. You know what? God blessed me to work around some brilliant minds. Dr. Linda Kershaw was a doctor after 4, 2, 4, 1, and 1. 6 years, she became a doctor in the Royal South. Yeah, 4, 1, and 1. 6 years in the Royal South, Black female. Go figure. That don't happen in music. Man, God has just blessed me to be in the University of Arts in Philadelphia. I got the chance to take a class with the late great Lewis Johnson, which is the choreographer for The Wiz, the movie. And that blew my mind because, I mean, you know, back then we was hip hop dancing and this, that, and the third. I thought I could dance. This old man coming in like made me look like I was a rock. So that's one. Two is the scripts that God always put in front of me. It helped guide my thought about the social paradigm. Like I've played Malcolm X and I've played Martin Luther King in the same show. So like the first time I ever did the meeting, I was Malcolm X. So, you know, when you plan a character like that, you know what I mean? You get calls. Yes, you do. You get calls from some dudes that'll let you know, like, hey, look, tighten up. And then I then in the same show years later, I played Martin Luther King. So a lot of times it was scripts. When Corey wrote Flubber, like I was a young dude and I was like, I had my feet in the street. So I didn't know Flubber, but I had heard stories about Flubber, but I just didn't know like what his name was, but I had heard stories about him. And I used to watch dudes like Flubber, the way they moved and the way they made decisions and how they, you know, yeah, I'm in the street, but I got a family I got to take care of. I got people counting on me. So a lot of those things that pushed me was the people that God put in my circle. Darian McLeod, which is one of the greatest storytellers in the United States of America. Just the opportunity to go to the University of Arts and see artistry on a whole nother level, to see how animators actually animate and the hard work that they go through. The other thing is, when I came in the theater, I started out in a space where you had to be and this is beneficial to all your young and up and coming, where you had to be the actor, the singer, the stagehand, the props manager, set designer, set builder, light designer, all of that. So understand that this thing is collaborative, and there's not, okay, I'm just that good that I can just make it happen. No, it is a collaborative team effort. I guess it helped that I played sports before I got in the theater, so I understood the ideology of team. Lastly, because I've been blessed to have these scripts, I wasn't one of those actors that just had scripts from the African-American diaspora. I was blessed to be able to do what we call Black shows, white shows, traditional shows, Shakespearean shows. One of my favorite monologues of all monologues, Black or white, Candy Stripe, is from Shakespeare. You know what I mean? It's a clear-cut definition of love and what it means and what it stands for and how it moves and how it doesn't move and how you have no control over it. So
you've said something here. I'm sorry to cut you off, but you've said something, and I just want to pinpoint because, again, I'm the person who normally will call out the psychology in Black households and Black folk. And so you've named a lot of names, and somebody watching got turned off. I'll look at him name dropping. The difference is these are mentors. These are people you studied, and these are people you learned from. And so we have to go back and do so much reconditioning and have a mind reconditioning. So for anybody who got turned off, hopefully you're still here with us. If you did get turned off and walked away, you ain't our audience anyway, and that's okay. For the people who are still with us, make sure you go back and hit replay and hear those names and write those people down. And then take a moment and ask yourself, do you have people? Go ahead, I'm sorry.
You know how important it is? Let me just, I got to keep this real. I forgot one name too, Ronald Howard, which is one of the only Black pianists in the United States of America still alive to be an Albright scholar and play for Paul Robeson. But let me tell you how important it is. I left Baltimore in 1991, so nobody has seen me do theater since 1991.
How old were you?
I was 20 at the time. So when I left, every show I did from then on, when you do your bio, if you read my bio, you'll see those same names that I just named in my bio, right? Because I believe in paying homage. I believe in paying forward. You know what I'm saying? So I came back and I did A Color Purple. And my mentor, Hugh Carey, hadn't seen me on stage since 91. So him and his wife came to see A Color Purple. And after the show is over, I come out. And when I walk up to him, he's crying. And I'm like, Hugh, what is going on? What you crying for? Was it that horrible? Was I that bad? He said, no. He said, I read your bio. My name was in your bio. And I said, why wouldn't it be? Like, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing if it wasn't for you. You know, we got to break this conditioning that.
That's huge. That's huge. Well, listen, I want to hear from Gerald and Corey. Same question. Gerald, what resources would you recommend and what has helped you? Can be people or things, books. You have the floor.
One of the things that helped me is reading a lot, getting a lot of information and reading from different resources. These two guys, these are my big brothers. So they are on my Mount Rushmore of people that are more professional. And Curtis is the greatest actor I've ever known. Corey is the greatest writer I've ever known. So these two guys, they don't know how much they helped me go along. And coming at it from a cinematic point of view, it was working with them, learning different things, learning how to do things professionally, and learning how to be a Black man with integrity in a office that has a lot of foolishness going on. Let's just make it plain. So these two guys, they really helped me more than I could ever express to each and every one of them. The integrity that they have, the honesty that they have. Curtis showed up, as Corey mentioned, every night and gave a performance to 2,000. Curtis gave an awesome performance. Working with Corey, his professionalism, the way he carries himself, the way he handles things, the way we work together. And then us working together as a team, it really helped me get a lot stronger. And those things really helped me. That and reading a lot and educating myself a lot, having that zeal for information that, you know, is accessible. We just don't go looking for it all the time. So that was big for me.
Huge. And how about you, Corey? Resources, things that have helped you along your way?
I mean, I ain't gonna hold you. My biggest thing is relationships. You just never know who in your circle, your family, just associates, people you come in contact with, may be the key or the person who can help you, you know, get to the next level. I didn't know until I started writing Courageous that I had a professional journalist or writer in my family, somebody who could help me edit my book. You know, editors charge a lot of money to edit a book, and Courageous isn't really a short book. It's like 350 pages. You know, that was probably my second project that I wrote that was that many words in one book. And I'm not the greatest editor. I may be great at telling stories, but I'm not the greatest editor. Come to find out, one of my cousins, you know, was a writer and knew how to edit. And that saved me a lot of money. And the same thing happened when I got into plays. I found out that I had a family member who worked in the industry of theater and introduced me to some people and helped me get into some doors. And the same thing with just networking and relationships. if you treat people right and you're a good person, you're going to get the same thing back in return. And because of my brother Flubber, because of the relationships that I had, because people believed in my projects and people I had built good relationships with, a lot of people just called and sent messages and said, what do you need? You know, what do you need to get Courageous to the next level? Is there anything that I can do to help you? And I'll never forget when we did Center Stage. It was kind of unheard of to do an independent project like Courageous at Center Stage on your own without any major backing or anything like that. And people were just calling me saying, hey, when is the tickets on sale? Once the ticket box opened, people were sending me messages. Hey, I bought 10 tickets. Hey, I'm bringing, 10 people with me and stuff like that. Just off of the strength of just love and relationships. And that's what it's about for me, just being a good person, building relationships.
Awesome. And I mean, just here y'all go again with them SAT words. No, I mean, I love it. Just real quick, just point out when Curtis said diaspora. So I literally use a hashtag. One of my hashtags is the diaspora because I've, traveled all over. And so, when I'm in the pictures with my African, Caribbean, whoever friends and stuff like that, I love to hashtag the diaspora. So thank you for using that because I haven't really heard too many people use it besides myself, but thank you so much. Like, I was like, oh, did he just say my word? So thank you for that. But I'm loving the conversation. I'm loving what you guys are saying and just how eloquent that you are saying the things that you're saying. And so, I'm just excited about, just everything, everybody seeing this and understanding because we have a complete representation, of our community and of us here tonight on the Connected. Yes. Thank you so much. So,
the play is feasible. I'm gonna tell y'all now.
I'm sure. I know it is. And so we, coming down to the last few minutes of the show, and so I have a question that I'm going to throw at each of you guys. So we normally have our key questions, okay? But we've also this is new. We've had 3 guests tonight, which is a first for the Connected Corner. We're excited about that. So we're going to do it a little bit different. I'm going to just ask Gerald and Curtis one of the key questions, and you'll have we're going to do half a minute. Less than a minute, 30 seconds to answer the question. And then I'm going to wrap up with a question for Corey. And so, Gerald, we'll start with you. Tell us about a time you wanted to walk away from the career you love. What happened and what made you stay? The time is on.
The time that I wanted to walk away. During the pandemic, when things got tough, when things got hard, when we weren't able to be with each other and share because, us group of, we spent a lot of time together. We spent a lot of nights together. We spent a lot of time in theaters, a lot of time in restaurants, just hashing out. And us not being able to have that connection one-on-one, it would really put me in a space where, I'm not gonna say I gave up, I just was a little bit discouraged. What gave me the courage to keep going was this play right here. Corey came out with it. I played one of the roles in the play, Bishop Kwame. I'm actually one of the bishops in the play, so it goes hand in hand with one of my roles that I do every day. So it gave me the courage to keep going. Even though we're doing this virtually, it really helped me to push forward and to keep going.
Awesome. And so
he got him back in the word, kid. You see that? God was like, let me give him something that's in alignment. Got him right back in the words. You gonna study the play? You gonna study the word? Okay.
Yes, absolutely. And so the next question is going to go to Turner. See, I'm being fair. I got you. We did half. I'm gonna turn it over. Once after I ask the question to Curtis. And so, Curtis, what is one question you ask yourself before moving forward with an idea or an offer, say for a role? What is one question that you ask yourself before moving forward with an idea or an offer?
What importance will this role and or project have to the masses as a whole? What importance is it? I mean, because if it's not going to be of any importance, then now I'm just doing it for money. And I take this craft real serious. I've had the chance to play King, and I've had the chance to play Malcolm. As a African American man in America, I have to take everything I do a little more serious. Even though I have fun when I'm doing it, though, y'all, for real. But I have to take it serious. So, what is the importance of this role and or this project to the masses, to society as a whole?
Wow. That right there, like, okay. See, once again. And that is
Girl, you crazy.
No, I would say, honestly, it's so important because, Tori and I, as co-hosts of the Connected Corner, we're also business partner of Beehive Connected Group. It's a partnership that we have. We started Beehive Connected Group first, and the Connected Corner was birthed out of that. We're also family. We're cousins. And so we have these different hats and roles and, things that we play for each other. But every season, every time we sit down, we go back, and especially this one, Tori, you see the questions and the things that, she asked you guys tonight. It's like, what are we doing it for? What are we doing for? We're doing it because we want to give people news and resources they can use. And then she's like, well, did they learn something that show? I'm like, look, it's important. God gave us to us. We're doing it because he told us to do it.
Right.
And so, but even in that, you're constantly going back to that question, like, okay, we doing it? Did he tell us to do this? Are we doing it because he said do it? Why are we doing it? And so we never want to get lost in why we have this platform and what it's for and why we're doing it. And so you guys have just, completely, in a lot of your answers, even if you don't know it, have inadvertently, answered those things, and you've touched on, all the reasons and why we do what we do and why you do what you do. So, thank you for that, and being honest and transparent with us tonight. And so we're gonna have two questions actually. I'm going to ask Corey, and then we'll wrap up. You guys, we want you to tell our audience how we can find you and all of those great things. You guys, look, there are a lot of resources tonight that you got off the Connected Corner. Hey, if something was said too fast, you missed it, make sure you go back to the replay. As soon as it's over, guess what? You can go to YouTube, you can play it again, rewind it, and make sure that you get those tidbits. I mean, the jewels about the advice of how to get into the industry, the information about the resources. We hear over and over again on the Connected Corner that people are a great resource. And so we don't want you to forget that, and just remember that, right? So Corey, we know we're here. We've talked about wonderful is your name. That is the title of the show tonight. It is a Corey Johnson production. I mean, you have two great, wonderful cast members here today. If nobody knew before, people should be knocking down the door, hitting you guys up on social media, all of that great stuff to know and be a part of what you have going on, because we're family. But it was like, wow, I've seen Courageous, but just tonight and seeing all of this and hearing it up close and personal, I feel, even more. I'm not going to get emotional about it. But anyway, because it's my big cuz. All right. So for the musical, The Gospel, we know that's going on. But tell us, what do you have coming up next? Tell us a little more, about the theater festival, and how people can connect to that as well.
So the festival that we will be doing for Wonderful Is Your Name, it's not going to be a performance per se. It's called a reading. I had to cast people for every role in the play. We'll be on a similar live stream like this, where the cast members will just basically read the play from beginning to end to give the audience a chance to kind of get a feel for what the story is. I think I chose really good cast members to play each role. These two gentlemen here, actually both are ministers and love the Lord in real life. So one is Bishop Kwame and one is Bishop Solomon. So they're kind of going back and forth in the play. The play will be at the Pacific Northwest Multicultural Reader Series and Film Festivals. You can look up online, MC, which is in Portland, Oregon. It runs from August the 20th through August the 22nd. We will be doing our reading on August the 22nd at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. And the next project I think we're going to be working on, I have a script that I wrote. It's kind of personal about a family member that I lost a few years ago. And it's called Opioid. It's about drug use in the city. Courageous touched on drug addiction, but this one is a little more direct because, Flubber's Courageous story is what we call a period piece, a time period piece. It takes place in the 80s and the early 90s. But the drugs that kids are using today out in the street isn't really the same drugs that was being used. This fentanyl thing is taking the death toll with drugs to a whole nother level. And I just wanted to shed a little light on it. So I took a story that was personal to me of a family member, and I'm going to film it. I wrote the script already, and it's what's called a short. It's probably only going to be a few minutes long. It's like a one-act piece where everything takes place at one, moment in time. And I hope that everybody enjoys it. And again, the message is there, that you need to, do something different to change your life. This young person had actually gone through rehab and changed his life. And without giving the story away, the day that he graduated from his program and publicly stated that he was going to change his life, he overdosed and we lost him on that same day. Mm-hmm. So it's a deep story, and I think it's a story that needs to be heard. So the script is done. I just got to catch some people, and you see the guys in front of me. We'll be putting it on film soon.
Awesome. Thank you so much for letting us know. And you guys, again, we'll drop the website, the links in the comments. So make sure you go through the comments. Everything will be dropped in the comments so you can make sure you can connect and know what's happening with Corey Johnson Productions, especially what's happening with Wonderful Is Your Name. And then if you haven't heard or don't know about Courageous, get the book. And so you know what's happening, and make sure you connect with them to know when they're going on tour. So Corey, tell our audience how to connect with you.
Well, first of all, I'm like you, I'm speechless. Before I share that information, I want to go back to the quote we talked about earlier. And I think that you all have shed so much light. And so Marcus Garvey said, we were like crabs in a barrel that none would allow the other to climb over. But on any such attempt, all would continue to pull back into the barrel, that one crab that would make the effort to climb out. Marcus Garvey was so beyond his time. He's one of my favorite people to study. But tonight I've got 3 additional people to study, because what you guys have shown us is that with integrity, connectivity, and relationships, instead of being the crab in the barrel, we can all build together a ladder, and a ladder in which we all can overcome. So I thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you for being with us. Thank you for getting connected. As Kiana said, my name is Tori Rose the Connector on all social media, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, and all of that jive. I'm not necessarily Instagramming or any of that for the rest of the year. We have some huge things happening in my personal life and my family, so I'm taking some breaks from that. But you can email me at connect2Tori@gmail.com. And Kiana, how can we find you?
You can find me on all social media platforms at Kiana B. Jones. You can also connect to us, the Connected Corner, if you would like to be a guest on the show, or you want to find out more about the show, how you can support the show. Email us at bcg.manage@gmail.com. That's bcg.manage@gmail.com to connect with the Connected Corner, to be a guest, or learn more about what we are doing and to support us. And make sure you subscribe If you're watching from Facebook, go to YouTube, type in The Connected Corner, subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Instagram at The Connected Corner, and also on Facebook, The Connected Corner. So, Corey, tell us where to find you and how to connect with you.
I'm on IG and Twitter, Corey J31, Facebook, Corey J.A.Y. Johnson. And you can also go to my webpage, www.coreyjjohnson.com, CoreyJayJonson.com.
All right. And you said it fast, but we're going to put that in the comments too for y'all. All right.
And Gerald.
Gerald.
Mhm.
You can connect with me on Instagram at CFO_G Haskins. Catch me on Facebook at just Gerald Haskins.
And Corey, I'm sorry, and Curtis. I got all the names crazy. Corey, Curtis, Gerald. It's like a tongue twister. Curtis, take us home. How can we find you? Unmute yourself.
At Curtis.McNeil12. Facebook, Curtis McNeil. Type in Baltimore, Maryland, because my son has my same name. That's about it.
Awesome. This has been an amazing night on the Connected Corner. We appreciate you guys, and be sure to tune in next Tuesday, 8 p.m. You can always catch us on the replay. And as Kiana said, it has been fun getting connected. Peace.
Respect.